Namaskar. So today we'll bring a very special topic for you. There was an article published in The Print. They attributed it to a Professor Patrick. And they argue that since there is no mention of temple in Dharma Shastras and few other scriptures which they believe to be the only scriptures, hence temples didn't exist before 2nd century AD. So very short answer to this is there are several mentions of temples in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana and few other shastras, like in Ayodhya Kanda 7th chapter Sri Ramayana, where the preparation of Rajyabhishek of Sri Rama is going. There is a mention of temple, Devalaya. Generally word Devalaya etc. are mentioned in the Sanskrit literature. So there is a mention. Many such mentions are found in Ramayana, and also even more mentions are found in Mahabharata, in Bhishma Parva, Anushasan Parva and few other Parvas of Mahabharata, directly or indirectly mentions about temple. So it is needless to say that the Puranas are filled with the descriptions about temples, because the people only tend to see one side of it. Puranas have even the methods, how do you do worship, how to make a murti and so on, and so there is nothing to say about that. Agama and Tantra Shastras are the ones which mentions the detailed process of temple worship. Vastu Shastra scriptures mention about the architectural part of it, how the temple should be constructed and so on in great detail. There are several mentions about temples in the works of classical Sanskrit poets like Kalidas. So take an example, Kalidas mentions about several temples. One I can remember of is the Mahakal temple, I think, in Meghdootam. Several other poets mentioned about the Murti worship and temples in their works. So there is no, it's a no-brainer. You can't say that temples are not mentioned. When so many scripture talk about a deity worship, then why there are always some people who talk about this repeatedly, that there were no temples in the Vedic period and this thing started only after 2nd century and so on. The answer lies in the way these people approach Vedas and Vedic Shastras. So what they do is they try to give arbitrary theories to justify and to give hypothetical timelines to scriptures when they were written. So what they do is they do not go by our traditional understanding and they make their own understanding which is flawed, and they don't accept our understanding which is passed down through generations through our Guru Parampara. So the logic they give is very half-baked and self-contradictory. So I'll give you an example. They say at some places that since the book mentions about Mandir, hence it cannot be older than 2nd century BC, because before 2nd century BC there were no temples. So by this, they will, every book which mentions about temple Mandir, they will say that it is not before 2nd century BC. And then they use the same logic to classify the books and then use it in the other way. So by this logic, they have made some assumptions and a hypothetical chronology as to when what happened, and they assign timelines to the scripture as per their own self-made chronology, and to make their point they always use it. So when scripture itself mentioned that when it was written, they bluntly deny the fact and ignore it as if it was never written. This is like insane. This half-baked theory, also known as Ardhakukkuta Nyaya in Sanskrit, this Indologist makes some so-called intellectual Indians believe that what they say. So, and these Indians go one step further outrightly and reject the temples, worship, everything, without actually investigating what is the process, what is happening here in the India. They don't acquire Vedic traditional knowledge through Guru Parampara. They don't have any Guru also. There are countless such people in India who run this propaganda, and few examples I can give you, like Devadatta Patnayak, then there is a Prashant Acharya and several others. So they also get massive support from leftists. For example, this Acharya Prashant was featured by Dhruv Rathi. You know who Dhruv Rathi is, a very famous YouTuber, leftist, so on his YouTube channel. So now you can understand what kind of people they are. So all of these people do not have any profound understanding of Vedic scriptures related to temple and temple worship, because they have never done temple worship in their life. They never not allow for worshipping again. So they never studied Vedas or Vedic scriptures near a qualified guru. Well, this is okay, but the question still remains, why there is no temple mentioned in Vedas? This question still remains. We are also making up some things, right? It looks like, but we are not. The reason is not as simple. The first thing is in the age of Kali Yuga, primary method of worship is not Vedic but Tantric, and people often criticize, but this is the fact. This is confirmed in several places. One of the examples I can quote. So the example is in Srimad Bhagavad Purana, 11th canto, where the discussion between Navayogendra and Raja Nimi happens. So there the Navayogendra says to Nimi, Nana Tantra Vidhanena Kalavapi Tashrunu. So in the commentary of this thing, Sridhar Swami writes, Atra Kali Yuge Tantra Margasya Pradhanyam Darshyate, like that he writes. So, which means that the Tantra way is preferred in the age of Kali Yuga. So that's why the Tantra scriptures give detailed description of the deity worship. Still, one may argue that okay, it is okay that Tantra Grantha are preferred, but Vedas are still there. So why there is no mention about temple and temple worship, deity worship, etc. in Veda? So the reason is Vedas are not complete as we see them. There were more than 1000 branches of Vedas. We have already covered it in another video. You can go watch that. So it is mentioned in various places, Srimad Bhagavad, other Puranas, and also confirmed by the source which this leftists believe is Panini Ashtadhyayi. Panini also mentioned more than 1000 branches in his Ashtadhyayi. But unfortunately very few branches are available to us today. So that's the thing. So we have a very minor portion of total Vedic literatures which were originally there with us now. Many things were lost in the due course of time, and countless arguments can be given, but one who has decided to do on something like, okay, I'll do this, his mind cannot be changed. Thank you. So that's it from us. Please consider subscribing if you like the content.